Hey y'all. So this last week, my youngest son, well, besides the one here in utero, was diagnosed with ADHD and ODD, like my oldest son. And we're pretty sure my oldest daughter, has it as well, but we don't really want to get her diagnosed with it just yet, just because hers is more on the manageable scale. Hers isn't like hyperactive or anything like that. It's just getting her to focus, and we can work with her on that, and she does really well with what we do here at the house, so I'm not too terribly worried about it, and with the vitamins and stuff that we give her. And so I was just wanting to go over the stuff that we use and why we use it and how it helps with ADHD and ODD, and like the diet that we use, just because I feel like it's super helpful to know all of your options. Like I said, I do like to go as natural as possible, but we do use some medication. So like, for example, my oldest is on something called Intuitive. And Intuitive is just this little pill right here. And it just helps him to, like, with his tics and like little things that he does. And so with the tics, it's basically like what they're stuttering, because ADHD kids have a hard time stuttering, and not stuttering is what I should say. And also, I should have turned my volume off on my phone. Sorry about that. They have a hard time focusing a lot of times, and they're just all over the place, and they're crazy and out of control. And so to make life easier, I tend to, adapt with our vitamins and our diet. And then, like I said, if need be, we use medication. We did try like Adderall, I want to say, but it was so hard on my oldest body. He couldn't take it. It made him depressed. And so he started taking this vitamin called Vital Biome. There we go. Called Vital Biome. And it helps with, there's eight strands of probiotics that help him to feel happier and not as anxious. And so that helps with those two things, because he started feeling those after he was on that Adderall. And so those are what we use specifically for him, that are just his. Like I said, I don't mind using medication. I don't mind trying it, but I prefer to not try it if I can help it. But he needed the extra help, and I'm hoping not. I'm hoping we can get it under control. But my other son, Talon, I have a feeling is going to need medication later on. But I would like to hold off on it as long as possible, because his body is so little. And so we use just basic things. We have BioCleanse for the magnesium. The magnesium helps with their sleep, and it helps to kind of like bring them back down. And a lot of times with ADHD and ODD, they actually have bowel problems where they can't, they're either constipated or have diuretic, not a diuretic. They have diarrhea. And so it's stuff that we have to kind of monitor. So this kind of helps him naturally, and not as harsh as like if we were to go to the store and grab like, what is it, Miralax? Is that what that is? The diuretic. So this is really nice. It makes his stool soft, but not too soft, because they also both of them take Probio 5. Right here is just your natural probiotic. It's plant-based. It has 5 good strains of probiotics, and the probiotics in here actually help him to be able to get rid of all of, like, if he does have sugars like that are not natural, because even though I would like to go with like more of the stevia or the honey all the time, it's really hard to bake with those things and to get the flavor that you want and that are intended. And so I tend to just bake with what we have, and plus it's cheaper. Let's be honest. I have a big family. I can only do so much. And so we just use regular sugar, and because we did try stevia and other things, and it was just, like I said, too expensive. So we went back on the regular sugar, and with that, I made sure that they have probiotic in their system, because with the probiotics, they are going to be able to clean out all the sugars, the extra sugars that their body doesn't need, which also makes them super active and like out of control, and their ODD is insane. So they start fighting us a lot more, and they start arguing with us. Everything is too hard, or they can't do it all of a sudden, stuff like that. Mega X is a must, in my opinion, or any omega vitamin. You want to make sure that they have at least I believe it's omega 5, 6, and then if you can, you need to make sure 7's in there as well, because that's really essential. It helps with their brain development. It also helps them to be able to fire all the connectors, so that way the vitamins are helping them to kind of pull in that fat that's needed for your brain to fully develop and to make those connections necessary. I also have them take this. It's called Slim. And what it does is it helps clean out their gut. It's like has a prebiotic in it, which essentially is just to help loosen everything in it or in your guts, so that when the probiotic comes in, it can get to hard work, and the BioCleanse comes through and takes it all out. And so when you use that for an ADHD kid, or an ADHD adult, you're able to help to set the groundwork, because a lot of times, even with ADHD and ODD, I really feel like it's more of a gut imbalance, because when you use these things consistently, I find that the problems go away. My oldest has been using these products for over a year now, and he honestly, he just needs the Intuitive. He just needs the little extra help that helps him to focus and to remember that things aren't as emergent, in that he doesn't have to stutter, he doesn't have to repeat himself, he doesn't have to constantly pace back and forth, he doesn't have to always be like mom, 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 mom kind of thing. And so with just that little bit of help, that's been tremendous for our family, because it's been really nice to not have to stress about whether or not he's getting what he needs. The other thing that we do is, this is just a multivitamin, but it has a special aloe vera extract in it that helps to absorb the vitamins that are inside it 300 times. I can't remember exactly what the percentage is, or what the number is, but it helps you to absorb the vitamins better. So they need especially vitamin A, and vitamin A is in here. They have iron in here, which helps as well. And some of these things, the funny thing is everyone's like, oh, can I see the label? Unless you research some of these products, you won't even know that some of these vitamins are in there, because you don't realize that some of the plants that are being used for these vitamins are even in the product. So B12 is really good for them as well. Like I said, the iron is really good for them. A lot of times, what people don't realize with kids with ADHD, or people with ADHD in general, is that when their bodies can't absorb the vitamin A, I want to say, very well, and so they need extra. It's the same like with the omegas. They need more of the omegas than normal, because of the fact their body just can't process it as well, or they don't absorb it as well. And so they're finding that vitamins that are high in vitamin A or vitamin B, or even the omegas with the extra omega in it, and not just the normal. I think there's omega 5, 3, and 9 are the normal ones. But but with the omega 7, that's something that's essential for that fatty development in your brain that needs to happen, so that the ADHD isn't overwhelming for the child. And then I was going to talk about diet now. Okay, so besides vitamins, I also make sure I stay away from red, yellow, green, and blue food coloring. So all of the food colorings, I got to make sure I stay away from those. And I try to stay away from artificial sugars, so I don't bake a lot, and we don't usually end up with a lot of sugars in our house. And if we do, it's something that's natural or plant-based, so that way the kids can have, or my boys can have it especially. I stay away from preservatives, anything with preservatives, so I don't buy any frozen foods, I don't buy any frozen meals, I try to stay away from tomatoes or tomato sauce, because that's really bad for them too. The salicylic acid in it sets them off, and their ODD is out of control. Another thing that is really hard for them and their bodies to process is anything with salicylic acid. So, like, honestly, if you can stay away from berries, peaches, I believe. There's a whole list. There's uh, berries, peaches, tomatoes, bell peppers. They can't have those. If you can stay away from those things, it's actually better for them. And sometimes it's even a gluten intolerance. You have to be careful because that ADHD is actually like a symptom of something else. So that's what I'm saying. I think a lot of times we misdiagnose children because we're like, oh, it's just this, when in reality, there's a lot more going on, and we just want to cover the surface. And so we're not helping them any. We're just kind of throwing stuff at them, expecting it to get better, whenever in reality they need that extra help. They need that gut balance. They need that, healthy lifestyle. They need to get out and move. They need to, like my children, I was talking to a friend this week, and she was saying, I don't know anyone who can actually, make their kids only spend 45 minutes on electronics. I'm like, I do. My kids only spend 45 minutes on electronics every day. And that's if they get their electronics that day. And they get to choose one device. They don't get to choose, they don't get to flip from each device and go to the computer, to the pad, to the TV. No. You choose one, 45 minutes, and you're done. Don't ask for anything else for the rest of the day. And that's our rule. And if you do, another rule that we have, because we do have a lot of problems with repetition and the kids repeating themselves a lot, is that if they repeat themselves, they don't get what they want. Because I have not been able to figure out any other way to get my kids to understand that when you repeat yourself, it's really not helpful. And a lot of times I'm trying to process the question that they're asking and think about if we have what they're looking for, or if we have enough of what they're looking for so that if someone else asks for it, they can have it as well, or you know what I'm saying? And so there's so much more to it. And so my answer always is, the minute you ask more than once, it's no. And that's helped us tremendously, help them to not repeat themselves, and also helps them to not repeat questions. So that's something that you can try as well. Little things like that. I would say sticking to a schedule helps, but I felt that sticking to a schedule for my kids actually made it worse. So it made bedtime harder because they were fighting us, and it made doing their chores harder. And so if you create a way to kind of not just make it fun, but make it so that the kids are kind of in control at some point during the day. For example, my rule is that if you want, or how do I word this? Or how did I word this, I should say. When you do your chore in the morning, they have to do their chore first before they do any schoolwork, because we homeschool. So if you get your chore done, the first to get your chore done is the first one to eat breakfast, because they wake up really early. So honestly, they don't need, they don't need to eat at 6 o'clock in the morning. I can see close to 7 or 8. Yeah, that makes more sense, because we eat lunch at 10:45. So honestly, they don't need to eat right when they wake up. I don't mind them getting a drink of something and then going and doing their chore, but they need to at least do their chore before they get food. So my thing is I've kind of made it into a competition. And especially because they all want to do their schoolwork first, so they can go and play on what they want to play, like the pad, or watch TV, or play a video game, whatever it is, or even go outside and play. They can't do any of that until they get all done with their schoolwork. And so they all want to be the first to do their schoolwork, and that means that they have to do their chore first. Because the first one to do their chore is the first one to get breakfast, which means that you can start on your schoolwork first. And so that's something that I found has been super helpful for us. Another thing that I found, but that wasn't always the case. It was always a fight for a long time. And so I was like, oh, seriously. But now also the other thing is that at night, usually we'd have a strict 7:30 bedtime. And I do try to stay close to 7:30 if I can help it, but it's not quite as strict. And I have a stay up night for each of them. So each of them has their own day, however you would word that, during the week where they go through, or where they have 15 minutes where they get to spend extra 15 minutes with just me and Ty. And that's super helpful for them. It helps them to feel like they are able to bond with us, which is good too. And I really appreciate it because it is super helpful to be able to create that bond and get to know them a little better. But I found that that's helped too, because that way they're excited to go to bed because the next day could be their day. And it's just in age order. So it's always Mondays Austin, Tuesdays Becca, Wednesdays Talon, Thursdays Corley, Friday will be Laurel whenever she gets old enough to stay up and stuff like that. And so that's why I try to stick to the 7:30 bedtime, is because they do have that extra 15 minutes, and I do my schoolwork afterwards, and I try to go to bed at 9:30 because, let's be honest, I'm pregnant and I'm tired because I wake up at 5:30ish because my insomnia has kicked in. You're welcome. So yeah, those are the things that we try. That's what we do. What do you do to try to help out with ADHD or ODD on a natural level? Because honestly, there's so much out there. And even now, like, do you medicate your kid? Like, do you genuinely just give them medication? Because that's okay too. It's whatever works best for your child and whatever helps them to be able to function at their highest. It's not about us. It's not about what we want. It's about what they need. And a lot of times I feel like we think medication is the go-to, when in reality, it's not. There's so many other things. We can try vitamins, you can try activities, you can try, like, soccer works wonders for my, for Talon. I don't know why I'm trying to give you numbers. It doesn't really matter. For Talon. And soccer works great for him. It's okay for Austin, but for Talon, it works wonders. Every single soccer season, he is exhausted and he's excited for soccer day. And at the end of it, he comes home and he crashes. And I'm like, yes. But, you know, it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, what are you going to do to help your child? And what are you going to do to find, or what do you do to find, like, how they need help best? Does that make sense? I don't know if my questions are coming through, but that's okay. If this helped you at all, if this gave you any ideas, please like, share, subscribe, and yeah, hit the little bell for notifications. I drop a new video every Sunday. Hope you guys have a good week, and I will see you next Sunday. Bye.